Now, following days of extreme heat, the SA Weather Services has issued a warning of severe thunderstorms with potentially damaging winds, hail and heavy downpours from today. 6 provinces are expected to be affected, with the Western Cape bracing for localised floods. For more on this, I'm joined by South African Weather Services forecaster Lehlohonolo Thobela. Lehlohonolo, good to speak to you this morning. In our last conversation, heat wave was on the horizon. We seem to be coming out of this heat wave and multiple forecasts across the country. Walk us through what we can expect over the next few days.
Good morning, and yes, thanks for having me. Yes, so we've issued a media release yesterday, which then touches base on the weather systems that are to bring rainfall over most parts of the central and the eastern parts. We have a cutoff low as well as a surface trough system, and accompanied with it some moisture from the northern areas, which is expected to push through over South Africa and most parts of Botswana by the afternoon, or rather the evening into tomorrow. Much more of the rain that's expected to last more. It would be an influence from Sunday into Monday, but yes, we are still expecting severe thunderstorms over the central and the eastern parts, which would cover areas over Gauteng, the eastern and the central parts of the Free State Province, eastern parts of the North West Province, Limpopo, as well as some parts of KwaZulu-Natal. Today we have a warning for disruptive rain that's expected over the southeastern parts of the Western Cape Province, which is expected to bring about some flooding, as we have a widespread chance of showers and rain, especially along the south coast of the Western Cape Province. Scattered showers and thunder showers are still expected for central parts of the country, which would cover areas like the Eastern Cape Province, Free State, Northwest, eastern parts of the Northern Cape Province, spreading all over to Limpopo, as well as touching areas over Gauteng. So yes, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning for Gauteng, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, as well as areas over the eastern parts of the Northwest Province and touching the central and the western parts of KwaZulu-Natal from today. And tomorrow then, that's more, we have much more of the rain from the moisture as well as the upper air system that's expected to bring about some cooling over the central and the eastern areas of the country.
Let's explore some of the terminology that you've used. I mean, you've talked about disruptive rainfall. You've also talked about severe thunderstorms. Just walk us through those two terms and what it actually means for the average person who's looking out for the weather.
So severe thunderstorms would cover a number of things that comes with it. With it comes strong and damaging winds, which might cause some disruptions in the infrastructure and things, in flying off debris, uprooting trees, and some parts would actually also experience some hail. Hail then causes a lot of disruptions. I mean, we've seen what hail has done in Gauteng in the past weeks, where we have seen a lot of disruptions in terms of roofs falling apart or cars being damaged due to the hail that was there. That's part of the severe thunderstorm. But with it, the storms usually also bring about heavy downpours with the limited time that they move over an area, which then results in some flooding. When we speak of disruptive rain, as we have continuous number of, or rather continuous amount of rain that falls over the ground, over an area for a prolonged number of time, and which that, when then that happens for a longer time, you'd have disruptive rain where it causes disruptions in terms of traffic as well as day-to-day activities, depending on what you have to do, but with the main concern being flooding, and with the flooding then we see a number of roads being disrupted.
So lots of rain in many parts of the country, but when we talk to the Northern Cape, high fire danger rating, I think is what you've called it. What factors contribute to this, and how do individuals look out or protect themselves or safeguard against these conditions?
The main thing about fall fires is the wind, and when we have strong winds around the area, which then helps in blowing the fire that starts. I mean, fire can be started by a cigarette that just a person smokes and leaves its lighting over it, or rather we have lightning that would start some fires over an area that is an open field, and when there's strong winds, then they help spread the fires, which then are in danger. We have a fire danger index that shows an area that's prone to developing fires over the area. So those are the factors that really happen. Windbreaks usually help in some areas, and some farmers also have a number of windbreaks that would help them not have a spread of the wind, which then results in the push of the fires from one area to another, which causes the severity of what we'd see as places being affected by the fires.
Something that we don't often talk about is the UVB Sunburn Index.
Yeah. Yes, I mean that is the amount of the sun that the person is exposed to, and with the UVB sun index, when you are exposed to the sun, then your direct contact into it. That's why you advise people to apply sunscreen so that they are not affected by the amount of sunlight that they get exposed to.
There's a, I suppose it's a misconception that if you're a person of colour, if you have dark skin or black skin, you don't have to apply sunscreen lotion. Just how important is it to be able to protect ourselves from the rays of the sun by applying sunscreen?
I mean, that differs from person to person. I think the medical officers would know better of that. My limits enter with the weather, and with the weather, I would know that a personal affects, how it affects me, how in terms of the heat. If I'm standing outside for a longer period of time, I'd probably be dizzy or something. Depends on the person, and would differ from person to person. I don't like the heat. I always wear shades, and that helps me live my life when I'm in the sun. So in terms of the medical details on what really the UV and the sun would do on a person, then that would be highly in the health department. My knowledge ends with the meteorological part.
Okay, well, speaking of your area of expertise, let's talk about monitoring the exact timings of so whether it's severe rain or any other of the elements. Now, what apps or technologies are available to individuals to protect themselves or to look out for weather patterns? Because you will give a forecast, but you will not give a forecast to the minute or to the hour. But there are apps that are available online, from what I understand, that you can download that will kind of give you a closer focus on when rain or sun is likely to appear.
Yeah, it's good that you say that, because South African Weather Service has an app for a weather app, which is Weather Smart, which then helps people then get to know the integrities of when the storm starts. We as a South African Weather Service have issued the warnings with its issued and validity time from the afternoon into the evening. That starts at the latest, probably like just after 2 p.m. straight all over to the evening. But yes, there are weather apps, and I'd suggest that the people do download the South African Weather Service app, which is the smart app, which then directs the timing and also helps people start planning according to what the app suggests in terms of the different time scales. But it's not only limited to that. We're also on social media, South African Weather Service on Facebook. We're also on Twitter, where we issue much more of these forecasts, which then starts and suggests what tonight's weather would be, what afternoon weather would be. And it's not only limited to that. We also have the website, which is South African Weather Service, www.source.co.za. That's where you get all of this weather.
Lehlohonolo, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for speaking to us, getting an indication of what's coming up in the weather over the next few days.